Welcome to the Small Business Show. My name is Swai from Garuda Promo. Today we have Mike Adray, Executive Director from BNI Founding Region. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Swire. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's nice to have you because I know that in your role you talk to a lot of small business owner around the region, and I wanted to get you on today to talk about virtual networking. So, from talking to different members in the chapter, and especially small business owner, with all the virtual networking that we've been doing because we can physically be at a seminar. Do you think it has a positive or negative effect for small business, and why?
Well, I think it's actually been both. So it's been positive in a lot of ways because we've actually had BNI members who have indicated that they've seen a growth in their overall business during the current situation, and it's forced them to rethink their business and to develop revenue streams that they never had in their business before because they didn't need them.
Okay.
And so they've actually seen a growth in their business because of that. I like to say, and a lot of people have used the term, necessity is the mother of invention. And so when faced with, trying to replace traditional revenue streams in their businesses, many business owners, because they had to survive, they found those new revenue streams, and a lot of them ended up being more profitable.
Okay. Can you share a couple of examples if you have them?
Yeah. So, for example, we have a member who was a personal trainer.
Okay.
And they thought that pretty much that their business was shut down completely. So this was a person who had a negative effect initially. And in discussions with, I had some discussions with this person, and they also reached out to their BNI peers, and they actually helped them develop a new business model that they had never thought of. So they were doing hands-on in-person training.
Right.
But because they can't do that right now, they developed the virtual training. And what that ended up doing is it ended opening up a market. They're originally from another country. And they're actually have kind of a celebrity status. This person was an Olympic athlete.
Wow, nice.
And because of that, they were able to leverage the celebrity, if you will, in this other country and develop virtual personal training clients in that country that they never ever would have done had they not been forced to go virtual.
Yeah, it could be anywhere in the world right now. If you have the audience, they will come.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and I think, one thing that I noticed, when we started, online meeting about 3 months ago now, like no one was ready. We don't have a nice camera. We all out of focus. The lighting is bad, and then after 3 months, I see a lot of improvement. So even the person who said they're most afraid of technology has embraced the technology, and everyone is getting better with the online meeting platform. So I think people are going to take advantage of technology from here and now.
Absolutely, and like I said, it's forced some people to rethink their entire business model. So I was talking with one of our members who's an Aflac rep, and I asked, how has this impacted his business? And he said he's actually about 30 to 40% more productive with his time.
Wow.
And I said, really, why is that? And he says, well, he goes, I work out of my car, traditionally worked out of my car, and I would drive all over California, Arizona, Nevada to meet with groups, meet with clients, to do the onboarding, do the education. And as you can imagine, he lost a lot of time driving from point A to point B.
Right.
Well, now he goes from point A to point B with a few clicks, and he's there within a few minutes. So he can see many more people and meet with many more groups each day than he could prior to.
Yeah, I think even if you think about cost-wise, before there's certain business people expect you have a nicer office, have a corner view. But right now, if you're talking about this cost-saving standpoint, all you need is maybe a few lights, maybe a nice camera, and then you could be as professional as your competitors, or even better than them if you put in the time to make it right. It's just all this box. It doesn't cost you that much. You don't need a fancy office by the ocean.
That's right. It really levels the playing field for the smaller business owner now.
Yeah. So I do find that more, for myself, because it's more productive, because you don't have to travel to meeting, and I could do probably the same amount of presentation I could have done. I could share my screen with my presentation, PowerPoint, and then people are more inclined, maybe there's certain management who couldn't be in the same room, but now with the virtual format, they could all be in the same room. All the decision maker can be in the same place, and you get quicker response that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about if you're dealing with a client who's maybe a large company or corporate client, and maybe they have decision makers, spread throughout the country or across a region, like you said, trying to get everybody in the same room at the same time is very difficult. But with this, it makes it so much easier.
Okay. All right. I know we've been having BNI. We used to have physical meeting once a week, and now we switched to BNI Online, which is a virtual format. Can you tell us more about BNI Online, and why it's now a good time to visit BNI chapter?
Sure. So just to give a little bit of context, BNI is, as you know, Swire, we meet in person on a weekly basis. That was our model.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that became impossible to do with the stay-at-home orders. So BNI USA was ahead of the curve, if you will, and we're ready for this because BNI is a international organization. They had already experienced a lot of this physical shutdown in other countries, and so by the time it came to the U.S., they already had the BNI online solution. So they not only did they have the platform, they had the mechanism. They adapted our meeting agendas to the online format, and we transitioned every single chapter in the United States, which is over 3,500, to the online meeting format within 2 weeks, and probably 95% of them only missed 1 week of weekly meetings.
Nice. Wow, that's a big number.
It's a big number, and more remarkably, I actually did a little bit of research within our region, and for the month of March, our members actually did see a 25% reduction in the amount of closed business that they had reported from their referrals, which is expected. If we missed 25% of our weekly meetings, you'd expect that same drop. But in April, we saw a 16% increase over April of last year.
Wow.
And in May, it was up not as much, but about 3%. So in 2 months, we've almost made up the deficit we lost in March by missing that 1 week of meeting. So internationally, we got some numbers in, and in April, our members worldwide passed just under $1 billion in closed business. And in April, we actually went over $1 billion. So BNI was ready for the transition, and in doing so, it opened up the opportunity to visit other chapters. And while we always encourage that in BNI, it was really certainly much more limited to a regional opportunity, unless you happen to be traveling someplace else in the country or the world, and as part of that trip you wanted to visit a chapter, you could do that, but that was not happening that often.
Right.
Now, you literally can visit any chapter anywhere in the world. In fact, one of our chapters in Rancho Cucamonga just recently hosted 27 BNI members from Malaysia that came in and sat in on their chapter meeting.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty incredible what the opportunity has been afforded us by BNI.
Okay. Yeah, and I think BNI does help, with my own business, because in the beginning it's I'm in promotional products. There's no event, seminar, obviously, when we have social distancing, so like it's kind of stopped, right? So I think with all the BNI people, I talk to a lot of different members. I ask them for their advice. They're happy to share. I think it's a good team, for support. whatever that you can encounter in terms of a small business, I'm sure that some of the members in our chapter has experienced before. And I also remember, hearing your talk, to develop a power team. A power team is a BNI term. Say, my business is promotional products. So my power team will consist of a graphic designer, marketing people, and even people that would relate to my industry. So you develop a power team in order to grow your business. I was able to use BNI Online, which is a platform with all the BNI members' information, to reach out to graphic designer throughout the country. So we share, we talk business, we talk about, what are the challenges, and especially my interest is, what are the advantage and what are the opportunity that you see in our market, because we are related, but we're not competing. So it's good to throw out that question to them, and they gave us a lot of good ideas I'm implementing to it. Can you give us more idea about power team and how visiting a BNI chapter, finding your power team could help your business at this point?
Absolutely. And just before I touch on that, I want to go back to one point that you made, and that is that you were able to lean into your BNI group as a peer group for peer support to really kind of, as a sounding board, maybe just figure out what you needed to do different in your business. And we hear that time and time again. Over the years, we've heard that from BNI members. People join an organization like ours to grow their business, right? So that's why they join. But when we ask them, year 2, year 5, year 10, why did you stay? And it's because of the relationships that they built, and that having that peer group, it's, as a small business owner or a single sales professional, you don't have a board of directors. You don't have a peer group to lean into and say, how do I do this? What do you think about that? How should I try this? Should I not try that? And that's something that you get from your BNI group. And then when you develop a power team, what you're really doing is you're building strategic alliances. And oftentimes we find that these power teams or strategic alliances, on the surface, it looks like you're dealing with your competitor. A lot of people will think that, if we're in a similar business, that we actually compete. And the reality is that you may not. I'll tell you a quick story about 2 contractors. 2 contractors were trying to join the same BNI group. And in BNI, as you know, we only allow 1 person per professional specialty, and they were both general contractors. Well, it turns out that the chapter accepted both members in.
Why is
now,
that?
when I tell this story, people say, wait a minute, you just said 1 per category, right? But the reality was, what they did was entirely different. One contractor focused on inside the house, kitchen, bathroom remodels, honey-do list, small repairs around the house, all on the inside. The other contractor focused on swimming pools, hardscape, softscape, outdoor living spaces, outdoor kitchens, some very grandiose down to the basic design work. And so they worked in 2 completely different worlds. As the 2 got to know each other and developed a relationship, they determined that they could become a power team. And the definition of a power team is 2 or more individuals who are dedicated to building business for each other, and they meet on a regular basis outside of their BNI meeting. So these 2 contractors met weekly for lunch, and the relationship developed to the point that they would share their calendars and say, here's the appointments I'm going on. I think you should go on these 3 appointments with me this week, because I know they're thinking about remodeling the kitchen next, or I know they're thinking about doing something in the backyard next. Come along and let me introduce you. And so those 2 competitors actually end up passing over $750,000 in business in 5 years' time.
Oh, that's a good partnership.
Yeah, right. I mean, they were very happy. They still remain very good friends today. And I'll let you in on a little secret. I was one of those contractors.
Yeah, nice.
So this was me when I first joined BNI.
So I think it's always nice to have an open mind, as far as small business, maybe you see someone has the same title, but then, like you said, they might not do the exact same thing with you, but then you guys share the same type of client. So if you can find a way to work with each other, so you actually gaining potential clients.
Yeah, another example I've seen happen is I've seen where two financial advisors team up in a same chapter.
Really?
Yeah, and because one of them really only dealt with individuals with a net worth of X and above,
Right.
and the other was really looking more for people, younger people who were maybe just starting out and trying to build a long-term wealth or retirement strategy, and so they were at a much lower economic scale. And so when they joined forces, they figured out that they could easily
Help everyone.
pass referrals, yeah, and help everyone rather than let them go someplace else. So they figured out that they both had a niche, and the niche didn't compete, and so they supported each other in that role.
I think mutual agreement, like what you're saying, still happens. That people think that, when your business is all, swimming with the sharks, and that's actually good people. And if you get to know them, and like BNI, when we have one-on-one, we share to each other what we're looking for, what we talk about, what we like to do, what we maybe want to stay away from a little bit. So I think that's how they generate that idea. And I have another example for you too. I know two website designer, kind of like your example. One only deal with big websites, 100,000 plus, which is a big job, and then he doesn't want to deal with the smaller project. So there's another website designer just deal with all that smaller websites. So that's a perfect team, and they never, if when people call you, even if you don't offer that service, and if you have someone that you could, so if you could refer out as we do in BNI, then you build goodwill to people who you refer to, and also the client that you refer out. If they perform well, they remember that oh, this guy helped me. So now I need the service that they provide. So I might want to use them. So that you keep them in the circle. Like they say, I don't want to send them out. I want to keep them in my circle of influence.
Yeah, you don't have to say no to anybody because you have a solution. If you set it up the right way, you can have a solution for just about everybody that comes to you, and you don't have to turn anybody away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with this online environment, maybe you don't have the right people in your chapter to be up on your power team, but that doesn't mean you can't develop relationships with people in other chapters that might be a good power team member. And so the virtual format, by visiting other chapters, you can look for those very specific power team members that you need to round out your business. And maybe you don't know how to do that, right? So we have our BNI directors, we have our advanced training courses, and our BNI University for our online learning that helps us learn how to strategically identify and build those relationships, even if they're cross-chapter.
Okay. So for small business owners out there, who are kind of struggling for a little bit, but interested in the concept, what would you encourage them to do?
Well, the first thing I would encourage them to do is to go visit a BNI meeting. And so anywhere in the world, you can go to bni.com, and you can go to the Find a Chapter link and put in your zip code or your address, your city, your state, and it'll help you find your local chapters. It'll direct you to one of our regional websites. And so our region, the founding region, is bnica.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go there and see all of the chapters we have in our regions. You can see the time and date that they meet. And then we encourage you to reach out to the chapter president, let them know you'd like to visit, arrange a date to visit, and then they will share the Zoom meeting access with the visitor. And then just go and experience the meeting, see who's in the room, get to know some people. It doesn't cost anything, it's free. And you're in the room with like-minded people who are looking to grow their business. And it's the best possible place that you can be, because our motto in BNI is givers gain. And that is, if I help you grow your business, then you're going to want to help me grow my business. So if you're in a room full of people who are focused on giving referrals and helping somebody else grow their business, there's plenty of business to go around.
Yeah, I've seen visitor who came, who say they've been, having a lot of problem with the business, and we talk to them like, who would you like to meet? And then they say they named 5, and we have all 5 in our chapter. So I can see their face; they're getting a bigger smile
Yeah.
as the meeting goes on. So yeah, go visit the chapter. And Mike, thank you so much for coming on today. It's great information. If you please, if you like the content, please like the video and subscribe to your channel. And Mike, and I'll talk to you in our panel discussion in a couple of weeks.
Okay, great, Swire. Thanks for having me on today.
Take care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.